Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SavvyCast. This is Jamie, and I'm thrilled that you're here today, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast. Okay, it is a rainy, cold Saturday. I had surgery this week, so I'm in a boot. And I asked Zane, who is sitting right beside me, and Tucker is asleep under the table. I asked Zane if he would join me today and do a podcast. Zane, thank you for being here.
Glad to do it.
The topic today is something that it's material that Zane uses with young men whom he mentors. So he's going to share all that today. And basically, our topic is how to pursue a woman. And this is to young men, men who are not married. So Zane, you're going to share how you mentor men to pursue women. Is that right?
Yeah. And these are really just a few points that I've jotted down over the years and I discuss with guys. So I'm not saying it's the absolute truth every time, but I find a lot of times, Jamie, as you and I have discussed, young men in high school and in college and even after college really have not been taught how to pursue a woman with intent of winning their hearts and their respect so that you can marry them.
Do you find with the young men that you mentor that pursuing a woman with the end goal of marriage, is that a very prominent goal in their lives?
The good guys it is, but I feel like they can't really articulate that well. And sometimes I just see them very fuzzy and the things they're doing, I think is not attracting a woman. I think it's pushing them away. And so it's some pretty practical things. It's not all like, none of this is really in the Bible. This is just practical things. And I think in our day and age, Jamie, we're 58 years old. It was a little different dating game and not everything was healthier, but there were some things that were healthier, I think. And so these are just some recommendations and questions I ask guys to see how they're doing here. Because as you know, I believe that like Solomon said in the Bible, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and finds favor before the Lord. So it ought to be something we're very serious about. We try to develop skills in, and we try to become, as a man, the kind of bait that can attract that type of woman that we want to spend our lives with.
To my women friends, young women, mothers, grandmothers, what Zane is going to share, I think, are great guidelines for our young unmarried women to look for in men. These things that Zane is going to share are things that I think should be non-negotiables if you're not married and you're looking at someone, considering him for long-term relationship. So,
and most of these are skills, so they're things we all need to work on.
These are things any man can do.
Any man can work on, and I need to still work on all these, right? But when you're pursuing a woman, it's not manipulating to be the best you can be so you can attract that woman.
And Zane, before you go into these things, would this apply to anyone, maybe high school and beyond, or is this specific to?
Yeah, no,
I
think you could gain the reputation as a high school young man that some moms, even of great women, recognize you, and they could keep your name in play with this godly woman for when even you're out of college. They can go back. Have you ever thought about that, young man? So I think a real intentional young man ought to be developing these skills.
Okay. All right. Well, Zane, I'm going to turn the floor over to you and you just start.
Yeah. And I'll be quick. I really have 9 things. And again, it's not a comprehensive list that I just ask guys how they rate themselves on this. Number 1, if you're pursuing a woman and you want to, ask questions. There's a real art of conversation with a woman. And I think a lot of young men haven't been taught how attractive it is to a woman to be able to look her in one eye and ask questions about her, about what she's thinking and doing, believing. And I see this as a huge issue in young men. And I hear young women that Jamie mentors and young couples even say in their dating years, there were certain guys they'd go out with and the guys would just talk about themselves. Here's what I'm interested in. Here's what I like doing. and how unattractive that is to a woman. So, first thing I say is develop the art of conversation with a woman, which means ask questions, look them in one eye, and listen. And this is so unnatural for some guys because of the way we've interacted with other men.
Mhm.
And then at 36 years of marriage, I can continue to work on this. And even I've heard jokes all my life and stuff, men talking behind women's back, basically saying the sexiest thing they can ever do to a woman is look in the eye and ask her a question. So, young men,
Or I think there's also, and then what?
yeah,
Yeah,
one
just
of our
keep.
pastors always said the sexiest words, for your wife, baby, and then what happened? You're listening to their
Mhm,
story.
mhm.
And again, y'all, this isn't manipulating. This isn't trying to say manipulate so you
But
can
it's
win them.
something you see. You see a lot of men who really
They
don't
can't
know
do
how
it.
to converse with a
They can't
woman.
do it. And guess what? They get disqualified. On the second date, the girl, I think we hear him say, hey, they're all about talking about themselves. Learn how to ask questions, and that will help you in every area.
That's right.
Second thing I talk to guys about, and we spend a lot of time on this, show some planning and project management skills in your courtship.
Mm,
When you're pursuing a woman, plan a date. Sometimes lead it. Don't always say, hey, we'll do whatever you want to do.
mhm.
Well, let's just hang out.
Where do you wanna go?
Where do you want to go? Making them
Mhm,
make the decision. Sometimes take the risk of listening and knowing them well enough and maybe doing some research to already know a restaurant they really like or an activity they like and plan the date around that. And the fact that you did some research, that you listened to what they like. They like taking walks at service. That is extremely attractive.
mhm.
And again, a lot of these things, and Jamie, you and I talk about this a lot. The research shows, and my dad used to talk about this, and this is in any kind of dating relationship, whether it's healthy or not, women come to giving themselves and even being willing to marry and or give themselves sexually if they're not a Christian. They come to attraction to a guy through respect. When they start respecting that guy, like a guy that can listen and that can plan and that can be romantic and know what they like before they tell them, that's how they hang around long enough to say, man, I'm willing to give you my whole self. Men typically are attracted by the way a woman makes them feel, that the way they look. You get so attracted to them that you hang around them because you love being around them. And then guess what happens? You start to say, I could give this woman my heart, my whole self. But so we kind of move to intimacy through appearance, feeling good about ourselves around that woman. A woman does it through respect. And there's nothing that I've seen will move women to respect a man more than that he is squared away, he's intentional,
Intentional.
and he plans
Mhm.
things.
And you were very intentional early on in our dating.
I probably got a little lax since I've got you, but I
No,
was
no,
pretty good
but
early.
very intentional. I was at Auburn, he was in Montgomery working, and things like mailing me a puzzle where he had written a letter on the back, broken it up, and I had to put it together. My roommates had to help because
Mhm.
um,
Because you knew that took a lot of time.
took a lot of
For me to put
time.
it together,
Right,
write a really nice
right,
letter. Yeah.
right. And I could tell countless things that he did that showed not only did he know some things that I liked, he knew you knew the perfume that I liked, so you sent me the perfume and the lotion. I thought, "Oh, he cares enough to take the time to do something that he knows that I would like." It was very, very attractive to me, and it's very flattering,
Right.
and I appreciated that so much early in our marriage. So,
And
it
again,
does take time, but
right. It takes time, it takes effort. And again, I had a dad that taught me, you get the right woman, do
work.
some of these
Mhm.
things. Work, it takes work. It takes pursuit. And some guys just, I think we want to hang around and hang out and think we're just going to be attractive to you. It's
Mhm.
not. Another thing, Jamie, that I put down, I
Right.
have some very interesting discussions with young men about this. Be real slow in physical touch early on in your relationship. And of course, Jamie and I come from a biblical worldview. So, we think, sexuality is for marriage, but whatever your situation is, and even dating, good Christians, you can start holding hands too fast, kissing too fast. And we know the science shows in men and women that sexual familiarity, again, that's talking about sexuality, douses romantic love. I tell young men, be a little slower to kiss her than she would probably expect. To put your arm around her, to show that physical touch, be slow because it demonstrates subconsciously to a woman that you're in control of that. And they know a real man has an intense physical desire and a woman that he's enjoying to touch. Be slow on that. And I tell the guys, you've got to own this too. In that relationship, even as the relationship grows and you're tempted more and more, you've got to own the purity in your relationship. And that is extremely, I've found from listening and what attractive to a woman when the man owns the sexual aspect. Because nowadays, too, a lot of young men tell me the aggressive nature of these women. I mean, Jamie and the girls we did, boy, you had to pursue them. You had to earn a kiss. I say, man, it's like, wow, it is very aggressive. I say, man, straight up say, listen, I respect you too much. I own this. It's my job to protect us. Here's what we're going to do. Be very slow initially and be willing to own it later.
And I would echo that for young unmarried girls. Just think, why would you move in with a man, have sex with him? I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how else to
No, say it.
say this except the way it is.
Mhm.
Does that make him more likely to marry you, to pursue you more? Or is that more demotivating? Like, well, we're living together, we're having sex. What else is there? And I mean, is that
Right.
in the
And
mind of
girls,
a man?
if there's any girl in here, one of the most unbelievable things I had 3 daughters, not sons, but a man. I grew up obviously with men, spent time with men. If you could hear what men, especially men of the world, once they've slept with a girl,
Mm.
the romantic love's done, y'all. And the world says, oh no, you can move in with them. It kills something in a man for romance. And it just
Before marriage.
before
Mhm.
marriage, it just doesn't do you well, girls. It doesn't do you well because it starts killing romantic love. A man needs to earn that intimacy, that oneness, and through courting, and then through a lifetime commitment, and then that's healthy. It is. God knew what He was talking about, y'all. It is so unhealthy. You girls are just killing the relationship with that guy.
And I
If
feel
you
like
sleep with him, I'm sorry.
I know this for a fact. You are giving away your power
Your
over
power,
a man.
your power.
Your power of feminine that God gave you, a feminine seduction, feminine attraction. If you give him what he should only get by marrying
Yeah.
you.
And guys, y'all, this is true.
I mean, I know this goes
Yeah,
against, I mean, but
and
we're
yeah, and the research shows this, and Jamie and I have a lot of, agnostic friends. I have a couple of atheist friends.
and a lot of friends who do not agree with any of
Yeah,
what we're
but
saying.
my atheist friends, they pretty much do. They know this is a fact. And women having power over man was God given. It's not like, oh, that's bad, right? But the men need to own this, and it's extremely attractive to a woman, even if she is a little more aggressive than you, to say, I respect you too much. I'm after your heart. We're not going to destruct our relationship by going to the physical too fast.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm just going to say this because I mean it and I can't think of any exception. So let me know, email me if there's someone that is in this situation and maybe it's different. If you're living with a man hoping that he's going to marry you, I would run, not walk, to get out, to stop that living together situation and tell him, we are not married. You've got to pursue me. And when you're ready to pursue me, protect me, and provide for me, and that we're married, then we can have those things and enjoy those things that married couples enjoy. That's just my take your power back.
No, I think that's right. And there's no guilt or shame.
No guilt or shame.
We all
No.
made huge mistakes in this area, and you can go back. You can back it up too. And man, you can come and say, "Hey, I have been weak in this area, and I respect you so much, and I desire moving forward in our dating relationship, maybe to marriage, to where we need to have some new guidelines." Jamie, the fourth thing that I wrote down, we have discussions with, is demonstrate your spiritual leadership to the girl you're dating or courting. I have yet to find a lady or woman, and you tell me if you disagree, that says, no, I don't want a spiritual leader. Even if they're Jewish, Hindu, whatever, Christian, even new age. They want a man that is just in touch with the physical world, but is a leader. And I'll just tell you, I've heard women talk about there's nothing more attractive than a man that's committed to his local faith family, that serves there, that's committed to services, that goes to church every Sunday, no matter what. On vacations, oh, that's legalistic. Going to a real church. Why can't you just enjoy? I'm telling you guys, and I tell these young men, you're going to be really attractive to the right kind of woman if she sees that you are a spiritual leader, that you do first fruits, that you pray, that you have a spiritual regimen in your life. That is crazy attractive to a woman.
That's very true. A woman who is very specific about what she wants in a man is thinking, okay, this is the kind of father this man is going to be. And if church or faith is important to you with your children, then you're
Mhm.
going to be looking at those things.
You're going to be looking
Is
at him.
yeah.
Is he a
Because
spiritual leader?
someone is not going to be more of what you're looking for after marriage. If they're not it before marriage, they're very unlikely to start taking on the things that you hope they take. They've
That-
got to already have those
That's right.
traits.
That's right. So demonstrate your spiritual leadership. And if it's a lie, if you really don't do it. But even if you don't feel like it, learn how to commit to a local church. It'll help you with women. The fifth thing, Jamie, and this was never meant to be on a podcast, but it's a part of our discussions on pursuing a woman and winning.
This is what you share with your
This is
man.
what I share with them, and we talk about it. Be squared away with your dress and your hygiene. Now, in no way am I saying be a fashion model or be the best you can be. If you like cowboy boots and jeans, whatever, but don't be sloppy. The number of guys I see nowadays that don't even know they're sloppy. They
Mhm.
don't know that
They've
they've
come
got
out of
a
college and they're,
spot
yeah.
on their
Yeah.
shirt. They don't know that their breath is bad. Can I be honest? I have some guys coming in, hey, I want to, find a godly woman. And I can smell their breath. I'm like, dude, so floss your teeth. Okay. So a woman has to really work hard to overcome that early in a relationship. So don't make it hard for her. The other thing I would say
Get as prepared for a date as a woman does,
is a woman to get
but
prepared.
just on the
Yeah.
hygiene end.
And it's honor and respect. People say, well, she should love me. I eat a sandwich and mayonnaise comes out. No, no. A woman is a precious vessel that needs to respect you. And here's another thing. And guys, I'm not saying you have to be a bodybuilder, you have to work out. I don't even like that. I am saying you don't need to be soft. Even physically, if a girl grabs your arm, and again, you don't have to be buffed and huge, but don't be soft. Don't not be able to help somebody move a couch up steps. Women, even they might say, oh, that's not important to me. Yeah, it is. They want a man that can protect them, that can do difficult things. It's not soft. They're strong, even physically, for
Mhm.
their body type, or they can do hard things. They know how to, run, to when it hurts or
And
to
I think
work.
I think a lot of men are afraid because there's so many voices out there
Yeah.
saying toxic masculinity or
That's right.
we don't need men or men or we don't get paid this, we should get paid the same, whatever. Most women, I think, who are looking for a spouse want a man who's stronger than them and who can lead.
Yeah.
Doesn't demean or diminish you at all,
Right.
but I don't want to be in control. I don't want to
Right.
be the strong one
Yeah. And there's
in
a
the
physical aspect to this. And some of you are going to say I'm judging. Again, we all have body types,
mm,
and some of us are naturally, endomorphs, ectomorphs, mesomorphs. If Jamie, can I really say this to some of the young men I see that have bellies? I mean, they're drinking, they're sloppy. Don't be sloppy. Don't be
just
sloppy.
be your best.
Be
Be
your
your best.
best.
And that goes
Be in
for the
shape.
women as
And for
well.
women as well, be your best. That's out of respect for them. And
And I do want to say that this applies even after you're married.
yes,
We see because we do so much marriage counseling or we have over the years. Okay, now I'm married. And we see it with men
yeah,
and
yeah, I'm
women.
married.
Now I'm married, so I can eat what I
Especially
want,
me.
look like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think you
yeah.
have to always be your best,
Right.
dating and
And
beyond.
we're not talking about bodybuilders or anything. Just try to take care of your physical health. Because to say, well, that shouldn't bother them if I, don't take care of it. No, they
Now, if you're going to live a life of alone, right, do what you want to do.
Well, I would still say, even in the workforce and everything, be the best you can be.
Yeah.
Don't be sloppy. And a lot of guys just don't understand this. They haven't been trained by people. Sixth thing, Jamie, we talk about is ambition. I think really women, and again, we're talking about winning a woman, y'all. And I think this ought to be very serious. Since Solomon said it's so important, I think most people agree, besides your decision to follow Jesus, the most important thing a man will ever do, it will affect everything in his whole life and in eternity, is marry the right woman. So I'm trying to say these are things you need to do so you don't miss out and get disqualified. Be ambitious. If you're a student still, be so serious about your studies, because you're trying to relate this to marketable skills so that you can earn a living. You can pay a house payment, have money for your kids. That is very attractive to a woman. And this is not about being materialistic or, I'm going to judge myself by how much money I make. No, I didn't say how much. Have marketable skills, work hard to create for yourself a financial future. And do that when you're very young. And women and good women's parents see ambitious men, and there's a direct correlation to ambition and a lot of other good qualities. So do it. And I tell a lot of young men and even older men that are married, hey, you're too recreational centered, man. All you're talking about is, oh, it's Friday, I want to hang out with the boys, or I'm going hunting, and all this stuff's fine. But there needs to be a primacy of ambition toward the future and financial health, making money, because it takes money to live.
Mhm.
That needs to be over recreation.
Mhm.
And I think real women watch that, they appreciate that. And it's extremely attractive when they see a man that's trying to better himself, trying to read books, trying to make money, trying to save, trying to learn about investments and about ways that I can be more effective in my career.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
I do. I totally agree. When we are in college, yeah, it's not, the frat boys are great. I mean, I
Mhm.
enjoyed all the ones that I dated. But if that's all there is, and you don't want to be married to the perpetual frat guy or the perpetual party animal, I, and I believe most women, you're looking at someone who's going to provide for you and your children in the real world.
Mhm.
Now, I knew I did not have a neurosurgery degree and that I had a teacher's degree. So
Right, which is
if
fine.
we were dependent upon my salary, so I was very careful about looking at how ambitious Zane was before I said, "Hey, I can do life with this
And
person."
again, no problem with women making a lot of money. We have dear
Oh
friends
yeah,
that their
I just
wives
knew
are
I didn't have.
neurosurgeons, and they do great, and they
Mhm,
do different roles because the woman has more earning potential, which is
mhm.
beautiful. I love it.
I
Jamie,
think that's
anytime
great.
you start wanting to make more money than me, I love it. But
I don't know if it's
but
possible.
but the other thing about this too, and I tell guys some practical advice. If the girl's always hearing in your social circles, you're more interested in planning your spring break than you
Mhm,
are in your school studies, or if you're already out of college, in your career, if it's all about your vacation, of course you can talk about that, but not. Just be very careful when your work as a man, because men, um we're it's really a gift to focus on our work and being productive. We feel better about ourselves, and our loved ones, our kids, our wife, are really dependent upon our ambition. So be ambitious. Um, Goal orientation, Jamie, I'll talk quickly. We spend a lot of time on this.
okay.
Women respect men that are goal oriented. Don't be as scared, guys, and show this, that you make goals. Show somebody that you're pursuing, after you've got some time with them, that you think about the future. You know how to delay gratification. You have goals financially of how much you want to save, how much you want to give. You have goals physically, make sure you're getting the right amount of sleep and eating right. And you have goals spiritually, maybe to read the Bible this year. I find that what I hear, and Jamie, you tell me, and our daughters and all their friends, all the conversations we've had, um, and the young marrieds that we work with,
Mhm,
they love men that have goals, that aren't
mhm.
just thinking about, I'm getting up today and I'm going to just
Oh
go
yeah,
with the flow.
yeah.
No, you're intentional, because they know habits done every day toward a goal, you will reach that goal.
Mhm.
So very goal oriented.
Mhm.
And don't be afraid to show this. Again, you're not selling yourself in a cheap way. You're just showing this woman, um, I'm marriage material.
Mhm.
Eight, we've talked about this a little bit. Pursue her. Pursue her. This is such a huge determinant for your future, the right woman. Fight for her, compete with her, for her. Don't don't grovel after her. Don't like, oh, if I don't have you, I'm a dead. No, pursue her out of strength, but let her know that you're fighting for her. I see a lot of young men nowadays. It's different rules, Jamie, I think.
Mhm.
They're like, well, I can't date this girl because my friend dated her and they broke up in high school. Now, I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? If you have this woman that's a huge catch and it's got the qualities that you want to give your life to and all your energy to and have babies with her and hopefully help each other get to heaven, fight for her. Man, this is a competition.
Mm.
Until she's engaged, I'm
No,
fighting.
until she's married.
Well, when she's engaged, I probably
Well,
wouldn't. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
sorry. Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
probably out of bounds.
Oh, yeah.
But in our age, listen, there are women's like, and I'll just tell you the truth. I had to compete for Jamie. I had some when I was introduced to Jamie on a blind date. There were some guys pursuing her, and I didn't think about, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings. I probably thought a second about it. Was like, no, this is my future, and I think the right kind of women you're honestly going to have to compete for. So don't be scared to compete. And these guys that get drug into marriage, like, oh, okay, don't. I mean, you be the one that leads in that. And again, you're not groveling, but you're just showing her I'm purposeful. When I see a good thing, I know it, and I'm going to be very intentional about pursuing you. And Jamie, how many times have we seen marriages that ended up happening where it didn't have a prayer of happening, but the guy lovingly,
Yeah, it didn't have a
not
prayer because you
weirdly.
would like be like, how did he get her?
Yeah, how did he get her? And it was a
And
lot
it
of
was
these
these
things,
things.
and it's
Mhm.
pursuit, it's honoring, it's being ambitious, and then you see, oh my goodness, this guy out of a little bit of persistence, and you might get rejected some, that's okay, but they actually want a woman. And Jamie, I love Jordan Peterson talks about this a little bit, but the most discriminating thing in our culture and in most cultures you'll ever see is who you date. Typically, we date at the level we can date to, and I'm showing this on the screen here with my hands.
Mhm.
And typically, people get together and mate, based on who they can get. And a lot of times that's physical attractiveness, money, social standing. We have seen so many men that the women they got were honestly outside their league in those areas, and they won them and they won their hearts because they said, this is serious business. And I'm not about just to lay down because it's not going well for me. Or there's another guy pursuing her too. And I
Mm.
don't want to hurt his feelings. So,
Mm.
Jamie, pursuit. And then the last thing that we chat about, I talked about is don't be afraid as a young man in your 20s or in college or even in high school to be known as somebody that is preparing for marriage. I see so many guys nowadays that kind of back off of it until it's the guy girl's idea. I think good women are very attracted to men that they know this man is preparing to be a great husband, to be a
Mhm.
spiritual leader, to be a provider, to be somebody a woman can respect
Mhm.
and follow. Um, I think it's super attractive. And again, I'm not trying to manipulate anybody. I've just heard women talk about guys they heard young that were like, of course I want to be married. I want to have kids and I want to find the best wife. And I'm working like crazy to become the kind of person that when that person comes into my life, God brings into my life, I can win them. And
Mhm.
I think, yo, that's a very attractive to a woman. And I tell young men, don't shy away from talking about your desire to give yourself fully to a woman, live with her, sacrifice work with her, and enter the vocation of marriage because y'all women like that.
Well, Zane, I think all of this is wonderful. And I know a lot of the young men that you mentor. What would you say as we close? You've mentored so many men. What's an example, of course, no names, of someone who lacked a lot of these skills and you poured into them and they started adopting some of these and then it ended really well.
Well, and it's not because of me, y'all.
No, no, no,
This is
not you, but the
yeah, this
skills,
is
the
true. And
concepts.
again,
It's not,
people
it's,
and I've had people, really spiritual people, back away and say, "Oh, I feel like I'm tricking them or I'm trying to sell them." I'm like, Just do these things to win a woman." I have seen many guys just start doing one of these, and it's changed their life. Many,
mhm.
and mainly asking questions. If they'll just, y'all, I've seen it over and over again. Guys say, "Man, I just don't know. I don't feel confident." I say, just focus on being a conversationalist with a woman. And you can't do it creepy, but just when you're with her, just listen and look her in the eye and ask her some questions about her heart's desire, her family, her parents. Um,
Well, everyone's favorite topic of
is
conversation is
themselves,
themselves.
is
So,
themselves. So
mhm.
I've seen all the time that one thing making epochal difference in the way men can get attention from women. The other one that I see over and over is focusing on being known and show and demonstrate that you are working very hard to have marketable skills. I'm telling you, anybody that says that's not important to a woman, I mean, somebody email me. Oh, I don't care if my husband's effective in the marketplace, if he's built making those developing those skills. I say, really focus on the future by working hard in your school, your education, and in your job, in your internships. Be very in
Mhm,
college, guys that have really good internships.
mhm,
You say, boy, that's practical. Yeah, it is practical. I've seen girls say, man, he got an internship with this company.
mhm,
That demonstrates you got something to offer. So simple things like that, Jamie, I've seen it make huge strides.
mhm. And I always tell my girls, look at how hard a young man works, even in high school. The
Mhm.
ones who don't get to or want to
That's
go
right.
on every single spring break, go on a trip to the
Because maybe
beach.
they're working to save a little extra money.
That's right.
That's attractive.
That's and just a personal example, Z- Zane, if you're okay with me telling it, you were going to go to a very nice college and play basketball, had an injury, and you stayed home, lived at home, and worked for. I
Well,
mean,
and my
I mean,
daughters,
and
my kids make fun of me, and I'm not saying this is right for everybody, but it turned out God gave me a gift. Let's say this: I didn't
you
have a
didn't think it
scholar.
was a
Yeah, I
gift.
didn't have a scholarship yet. I thought it was
I
prepared, and
thought
I
you
was
did, sorry.
going. No, I was in high school and I broke my ankle. I think it was one of the biggest gifts for me because I said, "Uh-oh, I got to start working for the future." And I ended up doing some unpopular things. And I know some people looked at me like, "What are you doing? Going to work, intern for IBM and cut yards." But I'll tell you,
While all of your friends were in
all my
college
friends were
having
having,
a great
and,
time,
and
and
they were
that's okay.
great men, search hard. There's
Mhm,
nothing wrong with that. For me, I think it positioned me for Jamie to have the kind of career that I had going that early that she said, man, he might not be a frat boy, but there's something about that that's mysterious. And how could he feel comfortable doing that instead of really having a full college experience? I'm not saying it's right for everybody. I do think that event, and that weirdness in me did somehow attract you. Like, how could he
mhm, 'cause I
not
was
need this?
full force in the other
Yeah,
world of,
sororities,
the
fraternities. Yeah,
that sa and great guys, and I dated a lot and,
sure. Wonderful.
great,
All my friends were in it.
mhm. But when I saw you and I saw, he's living at home, he's working, and he's going to school, and I was like, "Wow." I mean, I was very intrigued, and then the more I got to know how goal-oriented you are. Now, my particular desire for what the type of husband I wanted someone who was a leader. I wanted someone who led at church, who was a leader. Now, every man is not going to be in the forefront, and that's fine. They don't have to be. But I saw those things in you. And on our first date, the first date we had was we were on a blind date with another couple.
Mhm.
We talked until probably 3. We went back to the
Conversation,
conversation
conversation.
was so rich and so wonderful. And you were so good at, and I think you genuinely wanted to get to know me, but there were so many things
And I
about,
also wanted you to want to kiss me pretty soon.
yeah. And it took 9 and a half
Down
weeks,
half
and
a
I
week.
was
Hey,
beginning to worry.
yeah, I talked to her, and y'all, again, I didn't do all this right. This is not about us, but there's ways, I'm telling you, you can win the right kind of woman if you're a little bit countercultural, because at the end of the day, doing life with somebody is so serious. You really want to know what their character is. And I think it's awesome. So I encourage young men, do your best to develop these skills. It's not manipulating, it's being wise in a very important season of your life. And don't get disqualified early just because you weren't doing some of these things. At least be in a position to win. Still maintain a control as men. Don't get Women definitely need to be a little mysterious. And people tell us sometimes, man, you're acting like this is a game. Can't I just show this person that I'm madly in love and I've got to have them to live my life? I want to say something. And Jamie and I have lived this through our marriage. And we've had good times and bad times in our marriage. But 36 years of our marriage, two things that have really helped us that started off early is conversational skills. Jamie and I, on that first date, we knew how to talk deeply and about each other. That has served us well. We enjoy each other talking. That's good. And then the other thing, still have a little mystery about you where you're independent. People say, oh, this is playing a game. Even as a guy pursuing a woman, there's an edge that you always have to have. And again, it sounds like we're manipulating to say, listen, I'm after you. I think you could be what I want, and I want to give my life to you. But I am not going to fall apart if this doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
There's other people for me. I'm a good person. I'm a good catch. I will be just fine. So you're vulnerable, but you're not needy. I don't think women like neediness. And I'll tell you this, y'all, real men, they don't want a woman clinging to you. If I don't have you, I'm going to die. No, Jamie, it was very clear to me. Jamie was perfectly fine before she ever met me. Now I thought I'm going to be the best man for her. And guess what? If we hadn't worked out, she would have done just fine. And that was very clear to me that she was coming into the relationship as a whole person, fine, clearly wanted to, get married and have the two become one. But there was never a day where there was this sense of, if I don't have you, I'm toast. Guys, don't do that to a woman. Don't tell her that. When you get married, you can tell her that. But tell her, hey, I'm going to commit my life to you, give you everything, but have an edge to you that your world's not going to fall apart and you go on a starvation diet because your relationship don't work out. That is not attractive to a woman.
Yeah, you want to.
That's my last thing, baby.
I think it's great. I think it's great. And I want to say to the young men, and I see this a lot in high school, particularly, there's always the jock or the big man on campus. And I always tell my girls, I said, that's not where you're typically going to find your best husband. Although you were very athletic, you were very popular. I mean, you had the whole package. But I said, look at the one who's studying, who's working at the grocery store after school, or who's got goals and who wants to, take on a very hard degree. Look at those people that aren't always front and center, the best looking, because let me tell you, marriage requires a level of maturity and tenacity that you can see those traits early on, and you need to respect them and take note of it when you see that. And young men, do not be afraid to pursue any woman. And it's not about the way you look, but it's about
pursue
the way,
guys.
pursue.
Guys, pursue them. And if you can,
And women focus on way more than the looks.
Yeah.
Trust me, a good man, and mine looks wonderful, but a good man is about way more than what he looks like.
Well, okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
For if you made it through this, wow. Congratulations.
I appreciate y'all so much. And until next time, y'all have a fabulous rest of your day. Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the SavvyCast. If you'll take the time to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, that would mean so much. As always, thank you for listening and have a blessed day.